If you happen to be watching us at QSportsTalk.com, you see our next guest is here live and in studio with us, Sophie Burrows from the SU women's basketball team joining us. Sophie, it's great to have you here. How's your summer going so far?
Yeah, it's been really good. You know, we're 2 weeks into practice now, so just getting back into the groove of things. It's been really good.
Now, you are the lone returning starter. Not to put too much pressure on you or anything, but you are the lone returning starter from last year's squad. And I would assume, with that comes some responsibility, right? I mean, can you speak to that, kind of stepping up into more of a leadership role this year in terms of everything else that you're going to be doing?
Yeah, I mean, definitely as like an upperclassman now and being, one of the few returners, I think there's definitely a bit more of a leadership role there. Yeah, I just guess like there's a few transfers who are pretty who have played for a few years and whatnot. So, they kind of understand college basketball, but obviously not Coach Jack's system. So, obviously teaching them, helping them learn out the system, and then the freshmen as well. It's a big adjustment coming from high school to college. So I think, just being there for them and helping them out is kind of the role I'm taking on at the moment.
This is the new day and age of college athletics. Is every year it seems like it's a brand new team, and I know you've got some pieces back from last year that were here, but for the most part, it's I think half the team is different, right? Yeah. You've got eight transfers and freshmen coming in. You've got 15 players on the team. How tough is that, especially this time of year, as you're kind of getting to know everybody, and this is your third year doing this, so the first year was brand new to you. I would assume last year DeAsia Fair was gone. You lost so many pieces, and here you are again, a third time now, basically getting used to a brand new team. How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely takes a few weeks getting used to. We're still kind of learning each other's play, learning how Coach Jack wants us to play, the systems, that kind of thing. But I think it's exciting, to have just a fresh start, new energy. It's been super high energy at practices and stuff. So I think, as much as it is difficult to learn new plays and new players and stuff, I think it's kind of exciting to have that fresh start for us, especially off a not so great season for us. I think it's exciting to have these new players in to kind of bring in that fresh energy. You
talk about fresh start, and it's interesting you say that because, again, you look at your 2 years here, freshman year, fantastic season. You guys make it to the NCAA tournament last year. Again, we're trying to replace one of the all-time, best scorers in the history of the women's game and struggled a little bit at times. What have you learned from those 2 years? A lot of success in year one, took a step back in year two from a wins and losses perspective. What have you learned from those 2 years that you can kind of apply to this season?
I mean, the first year, my freshman year, was definitely kind of the expectations. That's what I've kind of taken from that is that's where we want to be. That's how we need to work as a team and whatnot to get to that spot again. And then last year is definitely a learning curve. I think Coach Jack always says you win or you learn. So I think there was a lot of learning done last year. But I think, just bouncing back from that, we don't want to be in that position again. So I think for the returners, it's just kind of stepping up. We don't want to be back in that position again. So, learning from our mistakes there and bringing the new people with us. So.
We had Coach Jack on a couple days ago. Every time I talk to her, I want to run through a brick wall for her. I would imagine it's the same for you and your teammates. What's it like playing for her?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. She's seriously one of the most passionate people I've ever met. So, pre-game talks, everything like that, she really gets you revved up. And, I think it's just so, it's so amazing to have a coach who seriously cares for her players as much as she does. It's always going to be, on the court, she's going to go for the player. She's always going to tell you if you need to fix something. But off the court, she's just like a mother to us. She's just cares for everyone. She would run through a brick wall for all of us. And I think it's really empowering playing for a coach like that. For your game in particular, you've continued to grow and evolve since you got here. Year 3 now for you as you enter your junior season. What are some of the things you're working on, and what are some of the things you've improved upon, I guess, since you first stepped foot on campus? I think, as we said earlier, I want to be a bit more of a leader this year, so that's definitely a focus of mine going into this season. And then I think just building my confidence. I came in as a freshman with pretty little confidence, and I saw that improve last year, but I still think I've got some work to do on that. So, taking that leadership and that confidence into my game to, transfer into both ends of the floor, offense and defense, just providing for my team as best as I can.
You went from shooting 27% from three as a freshman to just about 40% last year. Is that something that you spent a lot of time working on, between your freshman year and sophomore year, or was it a case of just maybe even getting more comfortable, more confident, that it wasn't necessarily a mechanics thing? It was just more of getting more opportunity and feeling more at home in the college game.
Yeah, I think it was definitely more about the comfortability of playing in college. I don't think the 27% in my freshman year was a good representation of how I play. So I think, just kind of, I went home after my freshman year and really reset and reflected on my year, and came into my sophomore year with, a little bit more confidence and obviously more comfortable knowing the game. And there is a fairly big difference from Australia playing in the college system. So I think just being more comfortable with that, going out on the floor and knowing that I had the confidence of my team behind me, to make those shots was kind of where the difference was.
For those who don't know your particular journey to America here, you grew up in Australia, right? How did you end up at Syracuse University?
Well, I played my whole life. My sisters started playing and I was like, I have to play too, forced my parents to put me into basketball. So then I just kind of kept playing, and I didn't really know about college until I was probably around 16, and that's kind of where college becomes a topic of conversation in Australia. So I was lucky enough to play for Australia at the World Cup and the Asia Cup. So I think that's kind of where I got recognition from a few college coaches. And then, Coach Jack reached out and came on my visit, and I was like, this is the place I want to be.
So you did visit before you came here?
Yes,
I know
I
sometimes foreign players, they won't actually come. They'll just, take virtual tours or whatnot. But you were here, you visited campus and fell in love with it, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think that was pretty important for me to be able to visit, just to not only get to know the coaches and players a little bit better, but, to see the campus and that kind of thing. And instantly fell in love with it.
What was the one thing about America that caught you off guard? Like, is there anything that shocked you that's completely different, or is there like a stereotype you thought you were going to see that you didn't see when you got here?
In terms of college, definitely like the frat and sorority stereotype was a big thing, because I kind of thought it was just movies. But then they took me down the sorority lane or whatever they call it, and I was like, wow, this is real.
This is actually a thing.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. But culturally, I think it's all pretty similar to Australia. The food's a bit different, those kind of little things. But it hasn't been too much of an adjustment.
Do you like Vegemite? That's the only thing I know about Australia.
I do. I love Vegemite. I have 3 jars in my apartment.
All right. So since I was a kid, I have always wanted to visit Australia, and I just thought it was so cool. Do you see kangaroos in the wild and koala bears, and they're just like we would see a
deer.
A deer or something. Really?
Yeah. So I have tracks near my house that I go
That was a
running.
great question.
Yeah, they're just chilling just by the side of the track. Yeah.
Steve, have you ever had Vegemite?
No.
Or smelled it?
No.
Might have to bring some in for you. It's
Yeah,
really good.
What is it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you.
Ashtray? I don't know. That's what it
Whoa.
I don't know. You don't know what it is either? No.
It's barley or malt or something.
It's
like a spread.
It's almost like what comes out if you make a beer, what's left over.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I'll have to Google it while you guys are talking basketball.
It's really yummy though.
Apparently, it sounds like Paulie, not
Steve
so much.
I've tried it. Steve would not go near it. Steve is a finicky eater.
I'm a very finicky eater. All right, let's get back to basketball for a second now. You said you're working out with the team and everybody is on campus. Any of the new players standing out to you, anybody that fans should kind of have their eye on as the new season starts up?
I think all the new players are really exciting and they bring something different to the team. I think, Layla and Dom, they kind of bring in a little bit of experience, both being to Final Fours. That's where we want to go. So I think them bringing in that knowledge and kind of knowing what the work it takes to get there, that'll be pretty important. And obviously both very skilled players. Layla's one of the best defenders I've ever seen. And I think Dom's quite calm and she can score the ball really well. So that'll be quite exciting to see. And I think just the freshmen, they all bring in just a new energy. I think it's pretty cool to see. I think they're all just really exciting players.
When you go back to last year, and I don't want to harp on last year too much, but what was missing now that you look back? What was missing? Was it just Deasia Fair was missing, or was there more to it that wasn't there last year that led to the step back in the win total?
Yeah, I definitely don't think it was a lack of talent. I think we had that in us. Obviously, not having Deasia Fair, having a for the first year, and then losing her was a bit of an adjustment, which I don't think we really adjusted to quite well. But yeah, I don't think it was a lack of talent, maybe just like a lack of team chemistry. I don't know. It's really hard to pinpoint the issue. But yeah, we just.
And I know it's early, obviously. I mean, you've only been working out for a week or two now, but do you feel like whatever you couldn't quite put your finger on last year, do you feel like it's there this year, at least in the early going here? Do you feel like everybody's vibing and there is that chemistry?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just like from the first practice, I was like, wow, the energy just felt different. Don't know how to explain it. Don't know what it was, but it was really refreshing to be in there, be in the gym and kind of witness that.
For our listeners and viewers, that are tuning in today, tell us a little bit about Sophie, the person, away from basketball. What do you like to do? What are your hobbies? What do you like to do when you're not playing hoops?
I mean, I spend a lot of time with my friends and family. That's a very big thing for me. So, kind of just hanging out with them. I like the beach a lot. Can't say I've really found any good beaches in Syracuse, but
Green Lake.
Yeah, that's about as close as it gets. But no, like back home, I love the beach. It's kind of my happy place, so I spend a lot of time there when I can. I love food, so trying any kind of food I can. I don't know.
Have you been anywhere outside of Syracuse? Like in your travels here, have you seen the country?
I've seen a few states. Obviously,
besides
we travel a lot.
The world with the games, but yeah.
Yeah, I've been to California. I went to San Francisco, saw that a little bit. I went to Toronto, not that that's in America, but that was kind of nice little trip there. So I've seen a little bit, it's all very different. I think that's the thing that stood out to me was how different the states are. It's like
sometimes I'm smart, guys. Vegemite is a thick, dark brown Australian food spread made from leftovers brewer's yeast.
So you hit the nail on the head.
It is exactly what it is. So
well done.
Well done. Doesn't sound too appetizing. Put it that way.
Have you thought about what you're going to do after graduation? I know it's still a couple years off, but career goal wise, or once you leave college, what's next for you?
I mean, my ultimate goal is to make the Opals, the Australian national team. So I'd love to play in the Olympics. It's in Australia in 2032, so that would be kind of ideal. I just want to keep playing. So wherever that takes me, I just want to keep playing professionally for as long as I can. So yeah.
Great. Any other nonsensical questions, Paulie?
No, but the men's team has an Australian guy coming in, Luke Fennell. Do you know him, or have you seen him play before?
No, I don't know him. Never met him, but
it's a big country.
I don't think the basketball's kind of a tight-knit group now.
Yeah,
so.
That's fair. That's fair. You guys can.
I was trying to get a scouting report.
You can bond over your accent. I love your accent, by the way.
Thank you.
Anything else, Sophie, that you want to talk about before we part ways today?
No, just come watch Syracuse women's basketball.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you today. Enjoy what's left of your summer. I know you're hard at work getting ready for the season ahead, but enjoy some of the summer. Hope you can find a beach, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Sophie Burrows joining us here on the show. And with that, we'll take a timeout. We'll open up the phone lines, 315-437-7644. Back after this on ESPN Radio.